Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and today I have another very special guest with me today. Former Byrnes Rebel, Clemson Tiger, linebacker and special teams coordinator for Mountain View Prep here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. One of the headhunters. He played for one of the elite schools.
Yeah.
Got to give them their credit. Can't take that away from it with the Byrnes Rebels. Mr. Stanley Hunter. Stanley, what's going on, man?
What's up, bro? I'm happy to be here, man.
I appreciate you taking the time. I'm so glad that I ran into you a couple of weeks ago, man. And I told you, man, like, look, I got to get you to come up here to the studio, come check everything out, man. And I always love, me being a sports fan. I love entrepreneurship, interviewing entrepreneurs, but sports is how I actually got into the media space. So I'm always fascinated, especially, growing up in the era that we grew up in, seeing all the guys that you played with and the teams, one of the big time programs. I always love catching up with the guys and just being able to pick their brains just to see like how things were back when they were playing and everything, and being a big sports fan and everything that you guys do, man. I always love to, have these type of conversations when I am. So, man, thank you for taking the time to have a conversation.
Man, thank you for having me, bro. It's always good to be in a situation or be in a position to even talk to somebody or give them advice or just give back. So, no hesitation when we met up a couple weeks ago.
So. Most definitely, and I feel like everything was meant. Like I said, one of the former guys that I was just recently spoke to a couple months back was Rennie Kerr, and I know you say you great guy, man, and we had a great conversation, and it's fascinating to see how guys, transition from sports and apply what they learn in sports to the real world, because sometimes it's hard when you've been doing something all your life to make that transition, and a lot of guys it's tough for them to do it.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yep. So it's great to see how you were able to transition. But just speaking of a transition, like how is it like for you personally, to transition from sports, but still being tied to it, connected to it because you're coaching now. But just talk a little bit about that transition.
Well, really, that's the thing. Like when you say the transition, it's only a transition when you're living life in that moment mentally. And a lot of people may joke, especially like my wife or my friends, my close friends, or even my son. All my analogies in real life are relate to sports.
Mm-hmm.
My mental is still a mental of an athlete. I think the best athletes are able to translate what they learn from practice and preparation to games. And then furthermore, after the game is over, after your playing is over, that mindset, that hard work ethic, the getting up and that grind, the being competitive, being hungry, never giving up, that type of spirit that you learn while competing, you learn now to do that in life. Right. So I tell my players all the time, man, you're going to have some third and fourth downs in life. And that's how I think. I think everything as a team aspect. My family, I look at it as a team. My team that I coach, I look at as a family. So it all correlates. So the transition for me, it's been tough. There's been a lot of tough situations I've had to endure and mountains to climb. But I use that athletic mindset. If you have an opponent who's stronger than you, faster than you, you just got to have better technique. You just got to have better coaching. It's the same thing in life. You want that house, you want that car, you have these goals. You just got to figure out a technique in life now that's going to help you win.
I would imagine, for a lot of guys, especially the athletes that really love their sport and they go a long way with it, it's hard to just shut off that work ethic. Especially like if you really love what you're doing, it's hard to just shut that off because you've been doing it for so long. Then it's just like you say, you take that from that sport or whatever it is, that your craft that you're doing, and you just apply it to the real world. It's not something that you just instantly just shut off.
Yeah, and a lot of times people have that. They have those issues because, of course, we all know people who are sometimes too competitive.
Right. Yeah.
So in life, if you talk about a job, you want to be competitive. Say you're in sales. That's perfect. And if you think about it, a lot of sales reps, sales companies love hiring former athletes. They love it because that competitive spirit. But if you're in a different setting, you may have to learn how to control that competitiveness in another setting professionally. Right. So it's just certain things that you have to learn in different arenas as an adult and as you transition from sports. So, but all in all, that the spirit of what you learn and that tradition and all those years of training translates in real life.
One of the things that I tell people, like some of the younger kids where I work at, and people younger than me, one of the things I tell them is like that I've learned is like how you do one thing is really how you do everything. So even this may not be your career that you want to stay at long term, but you need to treat it like it's something that you're really passionate about. Because if you come here BSing on the job, you go do the same thing in the classroom. You and the same thing in school, like wherever your job is, the next job that you go to. Like, so if you're not taking this serious and you just BSing here, people, that stuff just carries over with you long term.
Yeah, it travels, just like in coaching. Like I said, just like in sports, if you have a reputation as a lazy player, it's going to follow you throughout high school, throughout your recruiting. If you go to a college and you say you get benched or say you end up transferring, when you go to another school to apply or take another visit, they're going to ask what your track record is. They're going to ask around and see what kind of person is he, what kind of work ethic does he have, does he practice hard. It's easy to be the man when the lights are on, but you have to be the man all around. And that's the same thing in life. Like I said, I can't be a great father and a not so great husband. It don't correlate. I can't be the best husband but be a poor worker at work. Like, you got to try to balance it all. But what you said is a perfect analogy, and I tell kids all the time, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If I can look at your locker and I can tell your room is probably the same way. Your desk is probably the same way at school. Your car is probably junky as well. Like, it's just so many little details that you learn through discipline in sports that translate in life. So yeah, that's very true.
Separate the football player from the man that you are now. If you were just to talk to somebody, like, how would you describe yourself? Like, who is Stanley Hunter?
Oh man, Stanley Hunter is a guy who's been through a lot, but has a never give up spirit. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, what job I'm working, what situation I'm in. My mentality is always going to be, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure something out to win. So the football player, as a player, I think I was very tenacious. I was very, I was undeniable. My effort in sports was, if you ask my teammates, especially in high school, like, they'll tell you they hated practicing with me because I only knew one speed. I only knew how to go 100%. So walkthroughs, I would get in trouble in walkthroughs because my coach would literally have to say, look, bro, we're not hitting right now. We're just walking through. So it's just, I've transferred that train of thought to life now. Everything I do 100%. When I got married, I vowed to be something that I never had. I never saw a young black couple that I could relate to. I never saw that. So I wanted to work at that, and that's an everyday process. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a perfect husband. My wife will tell you that. But I work hard every day at something that I'm not good at, just like I did in football. I wasn't always the biggest, so I had to be strong. I wasn't always the tallest, so I had to be fast. So you figure out how to, if you know what your weaknesses are, you know what your strengths are. So the man of me today is a father, is a husband, I'm a son, I'm a brother. I think I would call myself dependable. If I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If I tell you I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. But all in all, man, I'm God fearing. I love helping people. I love giving back. I love being involved with my community, with my church, and I think overall I'm just striving to be the best version of myself I can be every day.
You mentioned, you know, your background and not having the greatest background, not having the greatest circumstances. Like, how would you describe your background, your childhood, just growing up?
Oh man, growing up, man. Like I said, all of the things that I'm about to say or express, or things I've expressed in the past, these are all things that I've learned through therapy. These are all things that I learned over time. I didn't know the situation exactly when I was in it, and a lot of these times, a lot of these situations. So growing up, I was raised by a single mother in Spartanburg. I probably went to every elementary school in Spartanburg County. Just living the life in Spartanburg, bro. You know, projects, you know what I'm saying? Poverty, drugs, guns, violence, prostitution. I witnessed all of those things, but now it sounds crazy that I went through that, but that's everyday norm. It was nothing that was like surprising to me because I saw it every day. My dad was around but not involved, so you know I had aspirations to be with him and go live with him and be around him, but he had other issues. He was on his journey and he was going through things. Altogether, I think I have 6, 7, 8 brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? My dad has majority of those. My mom has 4, including me. So I have a huge family. So when my mom went to prison when I was 10, I went to move with my dad, who lives in the Duncan part of town, and that's how I ended up going to Byrnes. I never played sports growing up. Of course, organized. I played recess. I played it in the neighborhood and stuff like that, but I was never a part of a team because of my stability at home. I was always living with somebody else here or moving over here, or my mom was in a situation where she couldn't afford to put me in sports, team sports and stuff. So mentally, I was just in a spot where, honestly, man, I was just happy to be a kid, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Happy to be living and be around my brothers and sisters at the time. And our struggle brought us so much closer. And that's why I say, when I was a kid, it wasn't like I was running around sad all day. I just didn't realize it until I got older that everybody don't live like this.
Right.
Everybody mama don't sell drugs.
Right.
Everybody daddy don't, you know what I mean? So when I began to get into sports and build my confidence, and I'm growing up now, I got a little hair on my chest, that's when I started to realize what I had overcome growing up. All of those issues, all of those situations, all of those interactions that wasn't normal, and then I think that began to show in my personality, just how I move.
You mentioned being around drugs and guns. Did your mother, I read some older articles in the Herald Journal. It was saying sometimes she would go away, go to jail for a little bit, and then she'll come back or whatever. Yeah. So all of that just felt normal. You just see her for a little bit of time. She'll go away, come back and forth, in and out.
I mean, like I said, my mom, man, her spirit, she's a beautiful, hard-working, loving mother. I never felt, by the book, by the law of what a parent should be, yeah, she probably was a bad mother to society. But to us, that was my mom. She loved us. She gave us everything she had. We spent time together. We took trips together. We did a lot of things together, but we were confined to Spartanburg. Everything we did was just in our own little bubble. In the meantime, she has her street life that she's living. And, of course, those courses as a parent and a legal drug dealer, you know what I mean, that crossed a lot of times. But, like I said, it was normal to us. It was nothing for me to see a crackhead doing his thing right here, or a prostitute over here doing a transaction over here. It was never nothing that alarmed me. It got to the point too where, in school, there used to be this celebration of being drug free, and they would say Red Ribbon Week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those days. Yep.
Celebration of being drug free. You wear red every day, or you give you a ribbon to represent saying, I'm drug free. Well, just being green as a kid, I know my mom sells drugs. There were situations where my mom would always tell us, don't you ever touch this. Don't you ever do this, right? So I knew what weed smelled like. I knew what crack looked like. I knew that stuff, but I thought it was normal. So I would go to school doing drug-free week, and I took offense. My mama sell drugs, and what's the big deal? I hope you didn't say, oh, you know what I mean? To my friends, I would. They talk about the stuff they do and their parents do. My mama sell drugs. I didn't know it was bad. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there was a time, man, where my mom had to really put it in me, look, you need to be quiet. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
You don't tell people this stuff. The old saying, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And that's kind of where I became a shell of myself. Now, when that began to happen, that stuff began to happen, now I'm quiet. Now I'm okay, I still don't fully understand what's going on, but I know I shouldn't be telling people what's going on. You know what I mean? And like I said, it was just normal.
I remember this was probably about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We went down to Charleston to interview Pastor Corey Aiken, and before he became a pastor, he spoke about his life of how he was in the streets and selling drugs. But the thing that he explained to us was he didn't look at it as a way of harming other people. It was just a way for him to survive and provide. So did your mother did she openly do it in front of you? Did she explain that she was trying to provide, or was she able to separate selling drugs from to being an actual mother?
I think it was very separate for her. There were things that I saw as a kid that I didn't reflect on or speak on until I was an adult, just remembering. So now, today, 2025, we have Uber, we have Lyft, right? But back in the day, we had the city bus, or you had cabs, the old school yellow cabs. I'll give this example of how normal things was for my mom and our situation with her. My mom had a friend who drove a cab. My mom would always call that cab company, or guess whatever, she had some type of hookup to where every time she called that cab, it was that same guy, right? We grew up to know and love this guy. Sometimes he would even give us free rides, right? To school, to church, to wherever we're going at the time, right? Well, I learned later that while I'm thinking I'm just riding around in the cab all day with my mama and her cab friend, my mom was selling drugs out of that cab. You called that number. If you called that number, it got to a point to where you knew if you called that number, you were calling my mom to get a transaction.
Something was on the way.
On the front end, you're calling the cab. But on the back end, you get in that cab to do your business, right?
Right.
Now, me, I'm just a kid. I don't know what's going on at the time. But later on, I remember, like, Mom, what happened to the cab? What happened to that dude that drove the cab with you? I remember him. And then she told me, baby, I was selling drugs out that cab. That was Mama's front. You know what I mean? So, like I said, that's how green I was, and that's how my mom kind of separated, you know, what she did. Not to glorify it, but that was our truth, you know. And my mom never shied away from telling us the truth when we asked her questions and stuff, and when we expressed the trauma that we went through. Because some of that stuff was trauma that we didn't even know. Right. It was just regular day, you know what I mean? It was nothing for us to come home off the bus, see somebody over here fighting over a card game, you know what I mean? What they call it, a liquor house or a car house. You play cars in here. It's always some type of music. They call it the juke joint, right? There's always something going on. You got this dude over here with the weed. You got this dude over here with the pills. You got this person over here with the alcohol. Like all on one property. That was our house. So that was normal to me. You know, all the dope boys, we knew them. They knew us. Ice cream truck come. They buying all us something to eat. They doing all of that. That was normal. Today, I would never have my son in that type of situation, right? But that was what we knew. And everybody on the corner had their own hustle going on. This lady over here did hair. This dude over here cut hair. This dude over here wash cars. This lady over here sell plates. It was just normal. Everybody hustling. Everybody doing their own thing. At the same time, a lot of wrong is happening too. But it's normal to us. So like I said, my mom separated, you know, the struggle that she had in her personal life. It was very separate from us. We came home to meals. We had good meals. My mama cooked for us. My mama did this. My mama did that. She bought us things. And when we go to the fair, when it's fair time, we go to spring fling. We had a lot of moments that were precious moments, just like everybody else. But when it was bad, it was bad, you know. And we lived through that. We loved through that. My siblings, man, when my mom got sentenced to prison, my brother was 12, almost 13. I was 10. My sister was 8, and my little brother was 3.
So you're the second oldest out of...
the second oldest of my mom kids. So just being that young, we were all really, really close. And when that happened, it just brought us closer. So when I say, you know, there were moments where she would go out of town, you know. She might tell us she's just going on a trip or whatever, but she might be going to jail for 3 months, right? 6 months. Or she might be on a business trip, you know, going to hit a lick somewhere. Like, it was just moments where she had to do what she had to do. But us kids, we just knew it as from a kid's view.
Even though you were the second oldest of your siblings, did you feel like at that time you had to be somewhat of a provider or like the leader of your siblings out of all of you guys? Or who would you say that was?
I've always been a protector. I've always been that spirit of a leader. I think that kind of made me a better football player when I began to play football because I was used to protecting my family. My sister is the only girl of my mama's 4 kids, so automatically we always coddle her. You know, we can fuss with her and roll around in the dirt and fight all day, but you can't. Nobody else can fight my sister. I can fight my sister. I can crack on my sister, but you can't crack on my sister. Same thing with my brothers, especially the baby boy. You know, he was 3. You know, he barely even remembered my mom before she went to prison. He's living those memories now, you know, since she's been home. But yeah, man, that definitely made me a tougher person. It made me a more independent person. Because you got to think about it. At 10, I mean, you still ain't even taking good baths yet at 10, right? Those are things that your parents continue to teach you. So I still hadn't went through puberty. I still hadn't got a deep voice. I still hadn't got so many things hadn't happened for me. But when you lose your mother and that love of a mother, everybody know what I mean when I say the love of your mama. You know what I'm saying?
It's different.
You can have a daddy, you can have grandparents, you can have godparents, uncles and aunts, you know, great mentors and all of that, but nobody gonna love you like your mama gonna love you. You know, so every time I got a chance to visit my mom and hug my mom, man, we took advantage of it. We took advantage of it, but definitely taught me a lot about life that I didn't know I was learning at the time until I became an adult.
I think the article said, you know, when you were 10, she went away to prison for a while. And I think you and your siblings, they ended up being split up.
Yeah, man. That? So another dynamic to my family. My mom had 4 children by 4 different men. Yeah. So when my mom went to prison, we all went to live with our fathers. So we all got separated. We all got separated. So there was a time where there were spells where you go from living with your siblings to now you only see them on weekends or every other weekend or really just whenever they family had time to hook up with my family. The blessing in that is my mom has a sister, my Aunt Juanita, and she took us to see my mama. Man, I'm talking about for 20 years, 15, 20 years straight while we were, you know, couldn't drive and do it on our own. She took us to see my mom every other weekend. Like it never. So
you were still able to, you know, be with your siblings. Okay.
My aunt would literally go pick all of us up from different parts of Spartanburg, you know, and make sure we got to see my mom twice a month most of the time. Literally, we might miss 1 or 2 weekends in a month, but literally on time every other weekend we went to see my mom.
So what was that like, you know, going to visit your mom, but then realizing, you know, she's still not able to come home?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I was probably about 15, 16 before it really, really sunk in. You know, I was definitely in high school before it really, really sunk in that, you know, what does life mean? I don't know what life in prison mean. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think I processed that at 10 when it happened. I do remember people talking about it. I do remember, because it was in the paper. There was an article in the paper. I do remember, like, people saying, oh, yeah, that's Mabel's son. Like, those Mabel kids. Like, you know, and I'm like I said, I'm just green to a lot of the situations. But as I got older, I was in 5th grade when she went to prison. I go to 6th grade. I'm in 7th grade. I'm in 8th grade. Now, mind you, I miss my mom. We're going to see my mom. But in my mind, it still hadn't processed life in prison. 25 years to life. About 14, 15, I finally asked my mom, like, when you coming home? Like, it's been, you know what I mean? At this time, it's been 5, 6 years. I'm like, now I'm maturing a little bit. I'm trying to make sense of this. And literally, my mom's like, baby, this is my charge. This is what happened. And this is how this is going to look for the next 20 to 25 years. And I remember one day on a visit, we all did the math. Like, oh man, I'll be 31 when my mom come home. I'll be 32 when my mom come home. Like, we were all doing the math. Like, my little brother was like, oh, I'll be 26. Like, you know, like literally doing the math in our head as to like when she would be home. So on those visits, man, when I tell you those, we left a spirit of love in that prison. There were times where we witnessed people give their life to Christ from watching a visit with us. Because when I tell you my mom is a ball of fire, bro, my mom is a black queen, man. When I tell you her spirit is just infectious of just positivity, love, growth, you know, realness. You know what I mean? When she around you, you just feel it. So even on a prison visit, all those years, I never felt like my mom was in prison. And I really get emotional thinking about that because outside of those visits, sometimes my life was hell. Sometimes I struggled a lot with depression. I struggled a lot with abandonment. I struggled a lot with just every day growing up without your mama. You know what I mean? Right. There were days where I would cry, you know, lay in the bed and scream, put a pillow over my face and just scream. But when I went to see my mom, none of that mattered. For that hour and a half, man, when I tell you my life was the best. So there were people that were also on those visits who would witness us at that table. My mom, her sister, her 4 kids, laughing, crying, joking, literally giving her updates, school updates, health updates, you know, family update, girlfriend updates. Literally, we took turns. Literally, this is what I'm doing right now. This is how football season went. This is This is my grades right now. This is my teacher's name. This is my coach name. Like, every day, every time we went to see her. And she gave us game. She kept it real with us. She loved on us. We took pictures. It was just like the highlight of our week or whatever we was going through right there. I knew I didn't have to worry about that while I was down there with my mom. So those visits, man, they were rough because we had to leave.
Right.
But while we were there, man, that was the best times of my life. I'll be honest with you.
Seeing what prison did to your mother and, you know, selling drugs and everything, was that what made you, because you at a young age where you could go either way.
Yeah.
Seeing what the impact that it had on your family, is that what made you steer away from drugs and go lean towards football?
Man. Shout out to, I don't know a lot of these people's names, man, but I have a very vivid memory of, you know, people who looked out for me and my family growing up. I would call some of them angels, because some of these people I hadn't seen since the moment they helped me, right? But I remember there were people who fed us, bro. There were people who would see us walking and give us a ride, give us some money. They wouldn't tell us. Sometimes they would tell us who they were. Oh, I went to school with your mama, man. I'm sorry that happened to y'all, bro. Like, you keep your head up. There was some of that, but it was sometimes somebody, just a total stranger, just walk up to us and make sure we get home safe. Give us a piece of advice. You know, tell us to tell their mom. My mom, they said, hey, and give me $25, $30. You know, a lot of people are to be credited for protecting us and making sure we were safe and okay. But I never wanted to do drugs because when I became old enough to really understand what they were and what they did, I started playing sports. And the number one thing that I was introduced to in sports was working out and weightlifting and being in shape. And that don't correlate with doing drugs. Right. So it was just always a nothing that I even thought about. You couldn't pay me to try it, to be around it. Like, I had plenty of friends my age who went to school with me, sold drugs. In my neighborhood, people doing this, people doing that, but it was never a situation where I wanted to, or even if I tried, there were people around me that would knock me upside my head, bro. Like, bro, what you doing, man? You a good kid, bro. You don't need to be around this. We would go to parties. I can remember going to parties and going to cookouts or situations where if the OGs of the time, if they knew something was about to go down, they would make us leave.
Make you leave.
Hey, young bull. Hey, y'all boys need to leave. Take you and your brothers and your sisters. Y'all go ahead and go to the house. It's getting too late for y'all kids to be here. Next day we hear about a shootout. You know what I mean?
They were protecting y'all from all of
They were protecting us. Right. Like, there are people around us, man. Like the people who were doing those type of things, they had morals. You know what I mean? They looked out for us. Like, they helped us. They gave us game. Like, we could bring our report cards to the dope boys in the neighborhood, and they would give us $30. I remember $25 for every A. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't wait. That was a little change I was looking forward to. So, you know, like I said, these are things that that I look back on and reflect on, that I remember being around it. I was always around it, but I never wanted to get involved. Never wanted to get involved.
And I know you said that, you know, when you were younger, you bounced around from different schools, and at times your mom really couldn't afford for you to play sports. But when did you actually start, like, really, like, playing football and, like, locking in on it?
Oh, man, I started locking in. My first time ever playing organized football was 8th grade, the spring of 8th grade, going into 9th grade. So the high schools, they'll come and recruit the middle schoolers. So my coach at the time, Coach Bobby Bentley, came down to.
He was the head coach at Byrnes
at the time.
Okay.
At that time. Yep. Yeah, man. And he came to Byrnes. This would be the spring of 2003.
Okay.
Yep. So Byrnes won a state championship in 2002. I was in 8th grade. And at that time, everything in life in Duncan Wolford Lyman was about Byrnes High School.
Byrnes.
You know what I mean? All my friends, everybody played Little League. Everybody played middle school ball. But when I moved to Duncan, when my mom went to prison, man, I was in 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. I was on a 2nd grade reading level and maybe a 1st grade math level. Like, I was just so far behind academically. my main focus for my grandparents was to make sure I did not fail. So they were harping on my grades and my behavior, and that was a big thing when I moved to D5. So I couldn't play if I wanted to. I never asked at that time, but my grandpa made it known, you gonna make straight A's. We ain't having that in this house. Right. So he established that early. So going into 9th grade, we going to high school, the coach comes down to the middle school and they make an announcement, if you want to play football, come to the cafeteria. We all go in there and he give us this little rah-rah speech and we all hyped up. And one of the coaches was my social studies teacher in 8th grade. His name is Brian Lane. Coach Lane. Is
that Coach Lane?
That's Coach Lane at Westside now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Brian Lane was my social studies teacher.
Okay.
And he sees me every day. He see me in PE. He see me in recess going crazy, you know. But he don't see me at the games. He like, why you don't play football? He's the one that invited me to the cafeteria when the high school coach comes down. Mm-hmm. And after that meeting, he introduces me to Coach Bentley. Now, this is unbeknownst to me, my dad, all of my dad's brothers, all of my dad's cousins, all played at Byrnes back in the day. Mm. My uncle won the first state championship Byrnes ever had. My uncle was a part of it. My dad, two of my other uncles, my dad's brothers, 4 or 5 of my cousins, all were state championship wrestlers.
And they probably knew, well, he's a hunter. They runs in the family.
Exactly what happened when when I told Bobby Bentley my name and who I was, and I'm a junior now. I'm a junior, so I have my dad's name. But for some reason, when I told Coach Bentley who I was, he literally called off all of my uncles and my cousins, but he called everybody's name but my dad. So he's going, are you Kurt's son? I'm like, no. Are you Everett's son? I'm like, no. Are you Joe's son? Are you Rodney's son? He's going down the list.
But you knew everybody.
I knew all of them because those are my uncles. I'm like, no, that's my uncle. Oh, no, that's my cousin. Yeah. Oh, no, that's my other uncle. So when I said, oh, I'm Stanley Jr., he literally was like, what? He grabbed me on my shoulder. He said, hey, you going to be my running back. You going to be my running back. I'm like, I don't even know what running back is, but I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He took me home because I was like, he was like, why you didn't play football? I was like, my granddaddy said, y'all racist. He ain't going to let me play. You know what I'm saying? And like, I just told the truth. Like, that's all I heard. Like, my granddaddy, there was situations back in the 70s and 80s at Byrnes where it was just bad, you know? And he didn't allow some of my family to play sports. So he was just like, you ain't playing for no racist Byrnes, you know what I mean? Right. So I told Coach Bentley that, and he was like, man, you got to be on my team. He took me home that day. He shook hands with my granddaddy, told him he wanted me to play. My granddaddy told him straight up, if it's anything like it was back in the 70s, we don't want no parts of it, you know? And Coach Bentley assured my granddad that that's not what they was on, that, you know, we're trying to change the culture here. We just want a state championship, and Buster can be a part of, you know, bringing some more and changing the culture here at Byrnes. Right. You've raised a great young man, and we want to help you. We want to help you from here. And he told my granddaddy straight face to face, first conversation, in 4 years, I guarantee you, in 4 years, he'll have a scholarship if you let him play football for me. And that was my first time ever playing football. I hadn't even played a down yet. That was the spring of 8th grade going into 9th grade. We were just working out. But I was always stout. I was always big, strong. I just had never played organized ball. So that's how I got into football. So did
you start out playing varsity, or you went JV first?
I went straight to varsity.
Straight to varsity.
Yeah, I went straight to varsity. I also played C-team, but I never – and this is just kudos to how Coach Bentley ran our program. I never practiced with the 9th grade team. Okay. I practiced with varsity every day. Now, on varsity practice, I didn't get any reps as a starter or nothing like that. I was on scout team. So we had a scout team full of younger backups. There might be sophomores, juniors, right? But they were backups on Friday night. And I was a part of that scout team. And I went hard. Like, that's all I know. Like I said, I'm going crazy, but I'm on scout team. But I'm giving the varsity guys a look. But on Thursdays, I played with C-team.
Right.
And then on Fridays, I dressed out and played varsity. Now, I can count on my hand the number of times I got in the game as a freshman, but I was on the team. And there were only 2 of us on the team as 9th graders. So it was a big privilege back then.
Right.
And then, like I said, me being new to this area, a lot of my friends been playing Little League since they was in 2nd, 3rd grade, and they didn't make varsity. So it was like a big deal when he said, I'm going to put you on. You're going to be my running back. You know?
I would imagine the games, Thursday night games, probably felt easier because you was playing against you on scout team for varsity.
Bro. It was comical how easy it was. And for me to never have been played before, just getting those reps every single day. I'm 13, 14, but I'm getting reps against 16, 17, 18-year-olds, some of them, every day in practice. And then I come out here Thursday and I'm playing against strictly 14, 15 years. So on top of our program being so advanced at that time, me individually, I was just shining. I was one of the shining stars at Byrnes that was just coming up. And I think everybody knew it. The way I was treated, I knew I was different. My coaches, my teachers, they greeted me differently than they greeted everybody else. They always had something to give me every time I greet them.
Do you feel like it was because of like your family, you know, and what they brought to Byrnes?
I think it was a combination of everything. I think as a coach now, I can see myself in certain people, especially my son. I see a lot of me in him. But I think the adults around me looked out for me a certain way. 50% being, I know your mom's in prison. I know you don't have much going on at home, right? But I see your potential. I see your leadership qualities. I see how hard you work. We gonna help you stay on track. And that's kind of what it was. Like I said, man, it was so hard to do wrong, you know, growing up, bro, because for one, everybody knew who I was. For two, this is a small city. You talking about Spartanburg County is small enough. Then you got Duncan, that's even smaller. Bro, I can't go to church, the bowling alley.
Everybody know you. Yeah.
Everybody know you, bro. Like, so it was so hard, but everywhere I went, there was always an older person like giving me game. Like, make sure you stay out of trouble now. Don't be getting in no trouble now. Make sure you pull your pants up. Now you know better than that. Don't let me go tell Coach Bentley or let me tell your granddad. So it was just like, bro, I had to be straight. Now everything I did, I was sneaking and doing it because everybody had eyes on us, bro. You know what I mean? But
so you said that Coach Bentley told you when you told him who you were, he was gonna have you being his running back.
Yeah.
So when did you switch to the defensive side of the ball? Because what I didn't know was, I remember, seeing the Herald Journal in the newspaper. I always thought you played linebacker. I didn't know you played defensive end as well.
Yeah, man.
So when did you switch to the defensive side of the ball?
So, in 9th grade and 10th grade, I played running back and I played safety. Those are my first two positions I ever played. I was a decent running back. I fumbled a lot, though, because I just wasn't used to carrying the ball. And going into, as I got older, I'm getting bigger, right? I'm getting stronger. And we had a lot of athletes, bro. Like, we just had a lot of guys that were just pure athletic as crap. So there was a game on Thursday. I remember it was at JL Man. It was a JV game. Because some Thursdays I would play JV and not C team. But there was a Thursday night game.
So hang on, not to cut you off. So you said JV and C team?
Yeah.
Is that the same or are they two different things?
No, so C team is strictly 9th graders, right? C team.
Okay.
So A team is varsity, B team is JV, C team is 9th grade.
Oh, see, that's totally different.
D team is middle school. So, like, on paper, at school, like, now I can say I'm a coach now, we have a system, everything is by those A, B, C, or D teams, your program directory. So you go to a school's website or something, A team is varsity, B team is JV, C team is 9th grade, and D team is middle school.
Okay.
So 9th grade is strictly 9th graders. JV or junior varsity are all sub-varsity players. So you might be a backup on varsity, but you start on JV. You could be a sophomore, you could be a junior. Now, seniors can't play JV.
Right.
Because some seniors are 18, so it's kind of like against the law.
Right.
But JV is just a combination of older players out of 9th grade that are not seniors that aren't necessarily starters on varsity yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we had all three teams at Byrnes, and some days, depending on the personnel of the other team, they would pull me up to play JV. So this was a JV game at JL Man one year, and this was like middle of the season, and Coach Bentley's there, the whole coaching staff is there, Coach Miller's there. And they literally try me at different positions. I don't know what they're doing, but one series I'll go in. He'll say, "Hey, go to outside linebacker." I go to outside linebacker for a series, see how they go. Go to middle linebacker. Go to strong safety. All right. And my biggest issue, and it's a joke now, my biggest issue, I always got toasted at DB because I was just so anxious and tenacious to get to the ball. If I'm being all the way honest, bro, until I got to college, my only version of football was the baddest man. You know how you throw the ball up in the air at home?
Kill the man with football. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
You throw the ball up, whoever catches it got to score. That's all I knew about football. Even as I'm playing organized high school football, that's my mentality. If the ball is here and I'm at safety, I'm 10 yards off the ball, why am I going backwards if the ball is over there?
Right. You trying to get the ball.
I'm trying to get the ball. So I'm at safety and I'm getting toasted because as soon as the quarterback get the ball, bro, I'm trying to get to the quarterback, bro. But I'm getting burnt at safety. Yeah. So I didn't know how to put that into words. So it looked like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, but I'm only doing what I know how to do. So it took a lot of strategy by my coaches. And then my D-line coach, Coach Schrock at the time, was like, he told Coach Bentley and Miller, he was like, just put him at defensive end and see what he do. Now I'm short. I'm not the tallest kid, but it's a JV game. This is where you learn and play with schemes. Mm-hmm. So it was just smart by them to use that night in a game situation to see what I would do. And that's what happened. I went to DN. I think, you got 4 downs. I think I had 3 sacks. And I blocked the punt on the 4th down. My first time ever going at DN. I came over to the sideline, and he said, when you come to practice on Monday, go to DN. Mm. So, and from that year, the middle of my sophomore year, all the way to my senior year, when I left Byrnes, I played defense, and I never played linebacker.
So you fully became a starter when your junior year, pretty much? Or?
Yeah. So at that year, as a sophomore, I was a second-string defensive end on that state championship team. That year, we went to the state championship. I didn't start, but I think I came in first quarter. I think that game I had 2 sacks. And as a sophomore, and in the state championship game, not knowing what that means, like not knowing how big that was, right? Now, mind you, my freshman year, we won a state championship. So that was my first one as a 9th grader. Mm-hmm. My sophomore year, we won a state championship. But that was Byrnes' 3rd in a row. Mm-hmm. The first one was in my 8th grade year. I didn't play because I was in 8th grade, right? So 9th grade, that was Byrnes' 2nd one, my first one. 10th grade, this is Byrnes' 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
So the dynasty is growing as I'm growing up in the middle of this. So the next year, as a junior, I'm starting on varsity. At DN, we win state again, and then that was 4 in a row. That's what got us national attention. That 4 in a row is what put us on the map nationally, and then that's when the doors just my door just got knocked down, recruiting and everybody's just knowing who I was, and that was that year, and that was, I would say, that would be my breakout year.
When did you realize that you were like different, like, all right, I'm like a legit D1 talent? Because at first everything that you went through, like, when was it for you?
I didn't
you
even
realized
know what D1 meant, bro. I couldn't tell you the difference between Wofford College and Clemson. I was green. I didn't know nothing about recruiting. I ain't know nothing about 5 stars, 4 stars. I ain't know nothing about none of that, bro. I'm just going to school playing football. I don't know nothing about this. So when Herald Journal is calling me, when these coaches are coming into my classroom and wanting to shake hands and meet me, I don't know what that stuff means. I'm excited, but I don't know what that stuff means. But the crazy part is everybody else knew what it meant. So when I tell you all those people will always give me game, they began to see the change. They saw my rise up. So they giving me, hey, make sure you keep good people around you. You don't need to hang around them. You got goals. You on to something bigger. You gotta be different, right? And it's hard, bro, because you got the girls, man. You got, and
you one of the guys, like,
man,
one of the go-to guys on the team.
I know kids from other schools. They having fun. They doing this, and why I always got to be the bigger person, and why I always, that's hard sometimes, bro. But thank God I had just good men and good coaches, bro. Like, our coaches, for one, they were great fathers. All of our coaches used to have their kids around them. They influenced us tremendously as men. And I think that was the difference. And people talk about Byrnes and the dynasty that they built. That was the biggest piece of the puzzle. Everything that we did off the field, how our coaches mentored us, the game they gave us, the advice they gave us, the help they gave us, it all influenced us off the field. So it got to a point to where I wanted to do right. I wanted to make good grades. I wanted to be in the spotlight. You know what I mean? I wanted to cheer for my teammates. I wanted to be the hardest working player. If we went to practice and my coach didn't give me a compliment, I feel like I had a bad practice. Like I had to be that guy. It became infectious. So all in all, you know, at that time, you know, it was just fun. It was very fun. But I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I was just playing football. I was just doing what using the talents God gave me, and it was just paying off.
You know, your story sounds very familiar with Ben. You know Ben, of course.
Ben Hall, yeah.
Ben, that's my guy, man.
That's my OG, bro.
Yeah, so
Ben,
go ahead.
That's crazy you brought that up. When I was in 8th grade, I would say this is one of my light bulb moments, right? Ben Hall is from Welford.
Yep.
All right. And in Welford, now there's a few different barbershops. When I was growing up, that was one barbershop you went to in Welford, and that was Mark's Barbershop. And coincidentally, it was called the Barbershop. So everybody and their mama went to Mark. Mark had kids that went to Byrnes. Everybody knew his kids. They were great athletes. His daughter played tennis. She was like a young Venus and Serena. His son played football. He was a little bit younger than me, but we always would see him training with his son, and he was always brag about how good his son was going to be. Mark cut everybody hair. He know everybody. And Ben Hall had a section in Mark's barbershop of all these pictures and newspaper articles and jerseys, and not just Ben, but he stood out because Ben's 6'4", 6'5", huge, bro. So I said to say, I come to school one day and Ben comes to speak to my class in his Clemson jersey. He has a Clemson jersey on, and he's a guest speaker for my classroom. And the light bulb went off in my head, like, that's the dude from the barbershop. Yeah. Like, bro, if he could go to Clemson, I could go to Clemson. Right. Now, mind you, at the time, I wasn't even playing football, but I said it out loud, like, I want to do that too. And that was kind of like a spark to me wanting to play football. And like I said, that led to Coach Lane introducing me to Coach Bentley. Right. And Coach Bentley going home and introducing himself to my grandfather and letting me play. Like, Ben sparked that. Yeah.
And Ben, he tripped me out because he was saying, you know, kind of like your situation, like he didn't come from the greatest circumstances either, but football was almost like an escape to him. Yes. And he was just so good at football, but he didn't really understand what was going on. He told me, he was like, he would always figure out like he'd finish a game and then he got to go fly somewhere, go on another visit, or coaches is calling him while he at home. He didn't understand what all of that was, and then he said he at Clemson his freshman year, getting ready for their first game, he opened up the program and it said Ben Hall, #1 tight end in the nation. Yep. He didn't understand what none of that stuff was until like he finally got to that level.
It was similar for me, bro. Like, I'm reading articles and they say I'm #1 defensive player in South Carolina. I'm like, me? Like, the whole state? Like, it was crazy. So I didn't know. You asked me, like, when did I know? It was probably my junior year. That year, man, I went crazy that junior year. And my junior year was also Prince Miller's senior year.
Oh, he was cold.
Prince was Mr. Football. To this day, he's the only player in South Carolina to start and win 4 state championships. He started as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and a senior. Won Mr. Football, went to Georgia. I mean, personally, the best football player I've ever seen. Like, just raw talent. Athleticism, strength, speed, combination of just being a gamer. Best football player I've ever seen. So that year, his senior year, we won that 4 in a row, and that was my breakout junior year, and that's when all the recruiters started kind of knocking on my door. But that would be when I would say the light kind of went off, like, I'm a little different. Like, I think I understand it now a little bit. Like, what sets me apart from other people.
You touched on it earlier, but talk about what was it that made that Byrnes program so special? Because I remember for us, I would always, one of my favorite things was just look in the Herald Journal on that Saturday morning, just look at the sports section and just see what Byrnes did, Gaffney, Spartanburg, and everybody. But I remember kids were saying, like, we were playing, like, man, Byrnes, they always were winning. They always recruiting people from other schools. That's what the thing we heard, like, y'all were always recruiting. But what was it that Byrnes did that was just different, that stood out?
With you, bro. Strength and conditioning. It was strength and conditioning. Mike Schrock. All right, Mike Schrock was and is the GOAT of strength and conditioning. If you came to a practice, if you came to a meeting, if you came to anything to do with Byrnes football, you knew who Mike Schrock was. Of course, Coach Bentley gets the credit, but even Bobby Bentley gives Mike Schrock the credit. Our strength and conditioning program was bar none the best situations I've ever been a part of. Even when I went to Clemson, my strength and conditioning program at Byrnes was 10 times better than, not necessarily better, but harder, strenuous than college. Easily. The way we practice, when I tell you, bro, it was militant. When I tell you, bro, it was crazy. If you came to a Byrnes game and you love our game, you would literally, there were people who would get off work and come watch us practice. Our practices, it was almost like a JV game.
That's crazy.
Like, people were just parking and watch us practice. Our practices were so intense, but we went full speed, lift weights, speed program. Everything we did was 10 times 10 on go. And when you practice like that every day, it makes the game so easy. Because for one, we're conditioned to the tier. We never got tired. So we're strong. We're faster than you. You're not gonna outwork us, right? We're stronger than you, and we had some pretty good coaches. You know what I'm saying? So to answer that question, what separated Byrnes from everybody else was strength and conditioning.
And y'all were loaded with talent.
Yes.
I mean, just some of the guys. It was you. I think Everett Dawkins.
Yes.
Like you said, Prince Miller, Willie Corn was a quarterback.
Yep. You got Trey Elder, Jamar Wright, Bradley Robinson, Terrell Allen, Ben Hall, Ant Johnson.
Yeah, I had a lot.
Fulbright. You got the Richardson brothers, cousins. Like, you got Chad Deal. You got Xavier Dye. You got Prince Miller.
I think Dye went to Clemson too.
Clemson too.
Yeah.
So my senior year, we signed 4 Byrnes guys to Clemson in one class. So
Crazy.
it was myself, Chad Deal, Willie Corn, and Xavier Dye. So I mean, it's endless, bro. I mean, it's endless the amount of players that come out of Byrnes, bro. To us, it's no surprise because we saw the work being put in. It was no surprise to us, but to the world, it was just like, bro, it was eye-opening. But we literally, I think our Byrnes coaches held coaches clinics with other high schools.
Crazy.
Like, we would look up and the coaches from around the state were coming to Byrnes to see how we practice. You know what I mean? Other high school coaches, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, you hear about high school coaches going to college coaches clinics, but we literally, our coaches, high school coaches was coming to Byrnes to see what's going on.
Man, I'm telling you, every time we opened the paper, we always heard about Byrnes just winning. It's just like, man, we already know Byrnes going to state. They're going to win it again, like every single year. What would you say was like the best team that you played on at Byrnes? Like, what year was it? Sophomore, junior, senior? I stand on this, bro. I stand on this, and I mean, we debate this almost every time we talk to each other. Any of my teammates, classmates. The 2005 Byrnes team, which would make it this 2006 seniors. So the 06 class would be Prince Miller's class. Okay. But the 05 season. Okay, right.
The 2005 Byrnes High School football team was the best football team in the world. And I'll put that against any high school football team ever. I mean that, bro. Like, I mean that.
Just top to bottom.
Top to bottom. You talk about position by position. You talk about quarterback. You got Willie Corn, right? Running back. Our running back went to Newberry, Derek Young. Okay. Prince Miller was also a running back, right? You got Receivers, you got Jamar Anderson. He went to Coastal Carolina. You got Matt Quinn. He went to Vanderbilt. You got Brian Gaston. He wasn't a college guy. He was about 5'5", but he probably the pure athlete, pound for pound, probably the best athlete, strongest athlete, fastest person I've ever seen. As a 5'5" athlete, starting on varsity and 4A ball at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then O-line, we had some, D1 recruits there too. That team, D2 guys. Defense, you got myself, you got Prince Miller, of course, you got Lamar Bomar, who was a D1 prospect. He ended up having a career-ending injury that year.
In high school?
In high school, yeah.
Oh, man.
So his kids are actually committed to Maryland. They played at Westside.
It's 2 of them, right?
Yeah,
I think I did see that. Yeah, okay.
Money. So they're kind of following in his footsteps, taking the baton from him because his career ended early. You got backups on that team. Everett Dawkins was a backup on that team. Corey Miller was a backup on that. Like a baby. He wasn't. I don't even think Martin Corey was on that team. I think Corey was maybe in middle school. He wasn't even at Byrnes yet. So
I saw. Not to cut you off. I saw it was an article. I think when y'all national ranking, y'all played against Florida, I believe, and it was an old photo. It had Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah,
he was
that was my senior year.
That was your senior year. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
After the 4 in a row, my senior year, we're going for 5 in a row. My senior year, and we came in ranked number 1 in the nation. We were ranked number 1 team in the nation that year, and we played Belle Glades.
Belle Glades, yeah.
Well, the city is Belle Glades. The school is actually Glades Central, but they were out of Belle Glades, Florida. And they had the number 1 receiver in the nation that time. He was the fastest kid in the nation at the time. And they had videos on YouTube, bro, of their training regiment. They would chase rabbits and catch them.
Yeah, in Florida,
as a training regiment. So we were like, we weren't scared, but we was like, we paid attention to these cats, bro.
Right.
So that year, we ended up beating them. That was the first televised game. At Byrnes. That was also the first year that we got a Nike contract. That was also the first year we introduced the Jumbotron at Byrnes, and national televised game ranked. Marcus came in as a freshman and scored that game.
Yeah,
and that was kind of his introduction to the world too. So you got Marcus Lattimore. Of course, we know what he went on to do.
Right,
but kids like that, Nick Jones, Torian Richardson, Riyad Richardson, Cartier Rice, Corey Miller, Brandon Willis, Everett Dawkins.
Just loaded,
bro.
Man.
It's crazy, man. Like, it's ridiculous, bro. Like, the stuff but I literally, everybody I just named, when I tell you we worked, those kids worked, bro. Like, you was not missing practice. You knew if you missed practice, you might get your spot.
Your spot might be gone.
That's how many athletes we had coming through there, bro. And it was the norm. Like, it was the norm. Like, I remember, like I think my great aunt died or something one day in high school. I think the funeral was like on a Friday. I told my granddad, I'm not going. Like, I'm not even going to the funeral, bro. Like, I'm not missing no game.
How intense it was.
That's how brainwashed we were about practicing, bro.
Yep. And you got to be obsessed with that passion. Who would you say was, I guess, maybe like y'all rival, I guess, at the time? Because I know, Gaffney was always like that. Man.
It's got to be
team.
Gaffney. Yeah, it's got to be Gaffney.
They had Malcolm Long at the time?
Malcolm Long was the quarterback there, yeah. Same class as me, 2007 class. So
I thought, not to cut you, didn't they win state or something like around that time? Or
yeah, they did.
Or did they have y'all?
Then we were in 2 different divisions.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
They had 4A Division 1, 4A Division 2. So two of those years before my senior year, we were in Division 1 and Gaffney was in Division 2. So my sophomore year, Gaffney won state in football and we won state in football.
See, that's what I like for it to be one champion.
Yes, it's weird
but
how they
did
do it.
Y'all played them in the regular season though?
Yeah, we played them in the regular season. And we beat them. Yeah, we beat them.
Okay.
Yeah, we beat them. My freshman year, we beat them. My sophomore year, they got us one in the regular season, right? They got us in the regular season. That was the only game we lost, but we were in 2 different divisions. They won and we won. Mm-hmm. My junior year, we beat them in the regular season. We didn't play in the playoffs because they were in a different division. And then my senior year, they put us in the same division. They put us in the same division, and they beat us. And that was the second televised game at Byrnes. Well, it was at Gaffney, but it was that was our second televised game, and Gaffney beat us in the regular season, and we went on and got a rematch in the second round, and they beat us again.
Dang, that's tough.
So in high school, bro, I lost 3 games in high school.
Your whole high school career?
In 4 years, all 3 of them was to Gaffney.
That's tough.
2 of them I seen.
Besides y'all, I mean, of course, Dorman and Byrnes, Dorman and Spartanburg were good, but it was like, Gaffney's always been like that model of consistency too. Like
everybody hates Gaffney. Bro.
Yeah, they win all
Gaffney's
the time
too. The movie Lion King, when Mufasa's talking to Simba, he's like, everything the light touches is yours. And then Simba asks that, what's that little black spot over there? That's Gaffney.
Yeah. They always.
That's Gaffney.
I don't know if they had like a stretch of dominance like y'all did, but like longevity wise,
consistency wise, bro, it's got to be Gaffney. And you talking about the whole state. They're always in the conversation.
They always every year.
They are relentless with how they just continue to build their program. So kudos to them, but we don't rock with Gaffney.
Yeah,
Gaffney would be our biggest rival. After that, it would be Spartanburg Dorman, just because they're in our county.
Right.
They're right up the street. We share the same mall. We go to church together. We grew up together. Most of us did. So that's a rivalry that we can't hide from. But as far as the intensity, the level of play, it
had to be Gaffney.
It was Gaffney, hands down.
So for you getting ready to graduate, like what was it? I think I saw, of course, Clemson, Carolina was another offer you had, Maryland was another one.
Yeah.
Like what was it that made you decide like I'm gonna go to Clemson? This is where I want to play.
All in all, man, like I said, I was so green. I didn't even know Clemson was in South Carolina, man. I'm telling you, I didn't know how none of this stuff worked. I'm taking these visits. I'm going to these places, and I ain't gonna lie, bro. If you talk to me the day I leave of college, that's my favorite school. Every time, it didn't take much to impress me, bro. I'm from the project, bro. Like you telling me I can eat when I want to eat, I can do what I want to do. All the girls love me. I'm on scholarship. Yeah, I love you too. Like that's how I was when I was getting recruited. But it basically came down to my mom being in Greenwood. My mom was in prison in Greenwood, and her being in South Carolina. And like I told you, I never missed a visit with my mom. Like, so I knew I wanted to still be able to visit my mom. And I also knew that I wanted her to be able to watch me play the games that she could on TV and stuff like that. So it came down to, honestly, bro, like it had nothing to do with my other teammates that were going. Like I was happy that they were going to Clemson too. But all in all, I wanted to stay close to home. And Clemson was really a cheat code. Because they were so close, I took the most visits there. So it got to a point to where Clemson fans, they knew my nickname. They knew I went to Byrnes. I would go to games at Clemson, and fans would have on a Byrnes jersey. You know what I mean?
They kind of.
But when I go to Georgia, when I go to Florida State, they don't know me.
They really know you. Yeah.
So I had fun, but it didn't feel the same. With Clemson being so close to home, it was just a cheat code for them recruiting wise because they had more access to me, and they came to all my games.
I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm a Carolina guy, so I mean, you could have went down the road to Columbia, but you just didn't.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll put it out there. Steve Spurrier was cool. He was funny, but he just rubbed me the wrong way.
I can see that, though.
And he was older. He was. I don't know how old he was then, but he acted old.
Yeah.
So when I went on my visit, I remember I went into his office and I shook his hand, and he called me the wrong name.
Oh man.
He didn't know who I was, and one of his assistants had to kind of nudge him, like, "That's the kid from Byrnes,"
Oh yeah.
And then he corrected himself. So it just
he didn't really even know you at the time.
Genuine, you know. And mind you, and like I said, I'm not cocky or nothing, but I'm the best player in South Carolina right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you should know at least if I'm coming, right?
Exactly.
Or remember my name, So it just rubbed me wrong from his standpoint. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Clemson is just like Byrnes. It was like a Byrnes away from Byrnes because you think about it, it's a small school in a small town centered around football. That's Byrnes.
So it was like a smooth transition.
It just felt just like home to me. It felt just like home to me. A lot of people knock Clemson. My cousin Everett, so me and Everett Dawkins, we are first cousins. His dad and my dad are brothers.
I know he went to Florida State.
So he's bigger than me, but I'm the big cousin. Okay. So he jokes around all the time. Man, don't nobody want to go to no country, small Clemson. But honestly, that may be a joke for people who don't like Clemson, but for the people who like Clemson, that's a plus to us. Clemson, being in Clemson, you really got to go outside of Clemson to get in trouble, right? You go to Athens, you go to Columbia, you go to Tallahassee. If you take the University of South Carolina out of Columbia, Columbia is still going to be a city that thrives.
Oh, yeah.
If you take Clemson out of Clemson, South Carolina, you have no Clemson, South Carolina. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah,
so for us, that's a plus for us and how close Clemson is. So for me, man, it was just homey to me. The fans are just relentless and just crazy. I've seen some of the most craziest fan interactions at Clemson, especially when I was getting recruited.
They love their team.
They love Clemson football.
Was Dabo the coach or was it Bowden at the time?
So it was Bowden when I was getting recruited, and Bowden got fired or resigned when I was a freshman in the middle of my freshman season at Clemson. So I signed originally with the class of 2007, but I didn't qualify out of high school. So I ended up reclassifying in the class of 2008.
Okay.
And I came, instead of coming in July of 2007, I didn't enroll in Clemson until January 2008.
2008.
So my 2008 was my freshman year, and that was the year Coach Bowden resigned.
Okay.
So Coach Swinney was sworn in after that. But Coach Swinney was part of the recruiting process and all of that. And he but he was a receivers coach for like 7 years before he took the head coaching job.
Okay.
So Coach Swinney was always a part of, a big part of Clemson before he became the head.
Yeah, because I remember he went to Alabama, I believe.
Yeah,
he played
walked
Alabama.
And won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always been an integral part to Clemson recruiting, and just you take a visit to Clemson, you remember Coach Swinney. He's just one of those figures.
My cousin, he actually played at Clemson. You know Sharon Pete.
Yeah.
That's my cousin.
Real good friend.
Yeah, so he
Sharon, real good friend.
Yeah, he played at
his brother Chad too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chad was a dog.
Yeah.
You played against Chad at Dorman?
Yeah,
or was
I did. I played against Chad at Dorman. DJ Reader, all those boys. We talk junk to this day, bro. Like, yeah, man.
I feel like that was some of the best days of high school football because I remember in the Herald Journal with every year, like before the season, they always had like
high
those
school
like
preview.
high school preview, and they'd be like one of the players
or like a movie.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, bro. You got Kendrick Lynch from Dorman. You got
they say he was cold.
You got Tony Lynch from Dorman. You don't want to go down the list of Spartanburg. Of course, you got Stephen Davis. But when I was coming up, you got Zachorian Robinson, Donovan Gist.
Zachorian was nice too.
Oh my God, bro! Z-Man was a freak. He was
especially
freak,
in
man.
basketball.
Man, he was better. Like he was better. He was just an athlete, but it goes down a list of just athletes. And like I said, these are all guys we played church ball with them. We grew up with them. Some of us went to the same elementary schools. We knew what the athletes were.
Yep.
We just knew that we were better at Byrnes just because of our program.
And y'all probably didn't play them. My cousin, he played at Broome. Marquise Jones.
Yeah. We went to Clemson. Well, we signed to Clemson together.
Yeah.
So Marquise was another athlete, just stud, bro.
He was another great player.
Stud,
DJ Moore was.
Yeah.
Man, it was. I'm saying that era of high school football. Man,
DJ Moore is a legend, especially a Broome legend, but he's a Spartanburg legend in my eyes because he was one of the first people that put our city on the map when he went to college. What he did at Vanderbilt, bro, was just crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was special. Yeah. But he did it so under the radar. Like, a lot of people to this day don't even know how important he was to that team and that program. But DJ Moore, he's definitely one of those cats
do you think we do a great job of like celebrating like the guys from the past? Because it's almost, to me, it almost feels like after you finish playing your high school days over, you may go to college or whenever you hang it up, it's almost like we kind of like try to reminisce, like, man, what happened to such and such? Like, what happened to them? Like, what they were up to?
That's crazy you asked that, man. To answer your question, I'll say no. I will say no. I think Spartanburg, as a whole, the upstate of South Carolina, has always had the best talent out of our state.
Oh yeah.
Now, Midlands, Low State, they've had athletes. Don't get me wrong, but as a whole, back to the 70s and 80s, where the real ones come from. It's the upstate, bro. And Spartanburg leads the pack. You know what I mean? You talking about Gaffney. You talking about Rock Hill. You talking about Dorman, Spartanburg, Byrnes, Gaffney. I mean, you talk about Greer, Union, the old Union County cool, but Union.
When Roscoe was there,
Union, come on, bro, was a staple in the upstate, bro. Just so many Greer. I mean, bro, so many studs. Chapman, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's everywhere in the upstate. That's why
it was like the pipeline of like,
yeah, man. But
talent.
You fast forward to, like you say, when playing days are over. I don't know a team. I don't know a school in Spartanburg. Let's just keep it Spartanburg County. I don't know a school in Spartanburg County that retires jerseys or has a Hall of Fame that they actively induct people in. I think they may, people may do their class reunions and stuff like that, but it's specifically sports teams, coaches, and players that they celebrate the winning and the history. I don't think they do a good job at all, man. I mean, a lot of my alumni, we have conversations all the time because I'll see like Daniel High School recently, bro. They have a Hall of Fame, and it's like a privilege.
Who was it that I think it was either Shaq Lawson or D Hop or somebody that went to Daniel, and they
all of them with Daniel. You got Jarvis Jenkins, you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got Shaq Lawson, you got they have. Daniel, probably in the last 20 years, they probably had 6 draft picks. Like,
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, ballers, bro, studs. But the history of Daniel goes back to the 70s. And they have literally an enshrinement for their players. I mean, like, that I think they unveiled it recently. One of my former teammates at Clemson is heading that. And, bro, it brought tears to my eyes because I'm like, no disrespect to Daniel, but if Daniel can do that,
for sure,
like
Byrnes easily.
Spartanburg, like, come on, bro. Like, the legends that have come and put these schools on the map, that has put these kids in college. The number of players that have took advantage of the being an athlete and getting scholarships and making something out of themselves. I think that would help bring some of the tradition back. A big part. You asked me earlier, what was a big part of Byrnes' success? I told you strength and conditioning. I think the second part would be tradition. Like, I wore number 17 when I was at Byrnes, right? And after me, there were people who wanted to wear my number because of me. But before I wore it, I knew who wore it. And I wanted to wear it for the tradition. I wanted to be bigger than the one who wore it before me.
Right.
There's a wall at Byrnes that we touch every time we come out to the field, and it has all of our wins against ranked opponents on it. I can tell you to this day, if you name a year, what ranked opponents Byrnes beat when they beat them, down to the T, because that was so important to us, and we couldn't wait to beat the next ranked opponent because of the tradition that Byrnes had before us. So you talk about like celebrating those people. If I'm a kid and I come in your weight room and I see all these pictures and articles of the previous champions that came through here, you don't think that's going to make me want to be a champion?
It's right.
You don't think that's going to encourage me to want to be just like that?
The tradition.
Right? Yeah, man. So that was something that fueled us. When we were in school in the spring, the college players, I don't know if they talked about it or set it up, but the college players would come back to Byrnes and work out with us.
That's big.
Do you understand, bro? Terrell Allen was a starting receiver at Pittsburgh University with Larry Fitzgerald. He was the number 2 receiver with Larry Fitzgerald.
That's crazy.
We watched him at Byrnes win a state championship. We watched him go to Pittsburgh and play alongside Larry Fitzgerald. He came home and worked out with us.
That means a lot, man.
Do you know what that feels like, bro? Like, it's one side of us is like scared because it's like, bro, he's in college, like, you know what I mean? But the other side was he was encouraging us, like, hey, young blood, you got to run your route like this. You got to do this like this. You got to get stronger. You got to get faster. You know what I mean? Stuff he would give us game.
Right.
Same thing with Bradley Robinson. Same thing with Trey Elder. Think about Trey Elder Trey Elder, bro. Played JV as a junior at Byrnes. Junior quarterback at Byrnes. He played JV. His senior year, he won Mr. Football and got a scholarship to App State.
Dang, that's crazy.
He went to App State and won 2 national championships.
Dang.
He came back to our school to work out with us. Just imagine being a receiver and catching a ball at practice from Trey Elder when he's in college. Prince Miller's at the University of Georgia with Matthew Stafford.
Who do you think that's on? Is that more on the players or is it the schools?
It's the culture, bro.
The culture?
It's the culture. So it starts from the top. You have to have, your district has to be behind your football program.
Right.
Athletics in general. It starts with the district office. It bleeds down through the principal and the head coach and the athletic director. And you have to have a vision in place, and you have to implement that. You have to encourage it. You have to invite those guys back. You have to put on events. Have them back. Invite them to come speak to the team. Invite them to a practice. Invite them to pick their brains.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Allow them to be a part of the program. There's a separation now between the old traditional players and now. There's no merging. So invite those guys back and make them a part of the program. They help build it. Right?
For sure.
You help build it. So we can help recreate that. But you have to be open to it, right? Because it's one thing to invite them, but I have to feel wanted. I have to feel invited.
Right.
There's a separation right now. When you go back to Byrnes, you go back to these schools, there's no love. There's no love because the tradition is gone. The culture is not there. Right. I remember, bro, when I was playing, it don't matter who we was playing. Them games was packed. You go to a high school game now, man, you can hear mouse piss on kite,
it's not the same now.
It's not the same now. So I know times have changed. I know kids have changed, right? Today's kids are different than the kids we were. We were different from our parents. That's life. But culture, we talk about Gaffney. They ain't changed. They always in the mix.
Oh, they die hard.
They fans don't care what's going on. You feel me? So the fun is in the winning. Don't get me wrong. It's a combination of all. You say, how do you solve that? It's a combination of everybody. You have to be open to change. You have to be open to criticism, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have to be dedicated to setting the standard and holding everybody in that program to that certain standard.
Because just for Byrnes, like I would welcome all of you guys, like you say, you or Everett Dawkins or Marcus Lattimore, Prince Miller, any of these guys. As soon as you guys say you want to come in and talk to the guys or come work out with them, it's automatic. It's a no-brainer for me because they look at it like, well, he did it. He worked out at the same school. He played at the same high school. If he did it, I can do it.
Yeah, they pick and choose certain players that come back, and some there's a guy here, there, every year, every now and again, and that's cool. But as a whole, like I said, as a culture, it's just died down for whatever reason. Of course, I'll always be a Byrnes rebel. You can't take it out of me, bro. Like there's a part of me that I will always be indebted to Byrnes and what it represents. But also at the same time, you have to realize too that there has been a shift, and you can't beg people to see it your way or do it a certain way. So I support the kids there. I train a lot of kids there. I'm still involved. I have cousins and relatives and teachers and coaches that I'm very close with or related to that's still there. But, you just have to, always just be an example. I always be somebody that I can't take away, like I played at Byrnes. That's the first thing you brought up, right? So I always be a part of it. And hopefully, I'll have an opportunity to help change some of the culture one day. But until then, man, you just support when you can and love on the kids.
Like you said, I feel like it's just like, in general, like the whole area. Yeah. Like even if we had like an upstate Hall of Fame where you induct all of these guys from all these different schools so you can just celebrate these guys. Like they have, like an NFL has a Hall of Fame, like have this kind of thing where you can see the history of all these different schools and the traditions and the great athletes that they had, man. That's because true. I don't think a lot of these guys now, like a lot of these young players now, they realize it's just like how good you guys were in this era, in that era back then.
I joke with my kids different all the time, bro. Like we got some studs at MVP, bro. And I tell them all the time, bro, you couldn't hold my jock strap, bro. Like, we joke around with them, but in all honesty, the biggest difference is that work ethic. When I tell you, bro, we was not missing no practice. We was going in. If we had to fight, we was gonna fight, but it was all in competition spirit. So as a coach now, man, that's how I just try to instill that work ethic into them and try to just pass that baton
and
game.
It wasn't a the social media era now, because now these guys get millions and hundreds of thousands of followers at a young age. Back then, we just had like the newspaper. You got to turn on the news and listen to Pete Hannity talk about different things. It's totally different.
Man. It's a big adjustment. But I always say my biggest advice to coaches and teachers and anybody involved, if you have kids, is to just embrace that change. Because you got to think about it. When we was growing up, my granddaddy didn't want me playing the PlayStation all day. You know what I'm saying? My granddaddy didn't like us listening to all that hip hop, the way it was changing, and the different types of artists that was coming out then and changing the culture. So there's always been a shift, but we have to adapt. You know, you have to collab with the kids. You know what I mean? Like, you have to see where their perspective is at and meet them in the middle. The relationship that I have with my kids now, I don't shun them for being different. You know, I make a couple jokes, but I pick their brains to see what makes them go, right? It may be different from me, but at the same time, the correlation, the common denominator is sports. So we can still come together here, but the motivation outside of sports is the hard part. Like I tell people all the time, parents especially, like, I can coach anybody. I can coach a kid. Coaching football is easy. Coaching is not hard. It's off the field is what's hard. You know what I'm saying? This when they go home.
Playing with those loaded teams at Byrnes, and then you transition to Clemson, was that, like I said, was it still a smooth transition, or was it kind of a little bit tough? Because now all of these guys were great on their high school teams, but now all of you guys are together, and you played with some great players. I think it was, you had C.J. Spiller and was James Davis there at the time too? Yeah. So at that time, like when you go to the school, I think I read where DeQuan Biles was one of your roommates at the time. And he was a dog too.
Yeah, man. So, the transition from high school to college, bro, was eye-opening for me, man, in a positive way. I come from Byrnes High School. I got 3 rings. I've only lost 3 games. I come in a little. Personally, I feel like I'm the man. You know what I'm saying? When I tell you, if you ain't never had this kind of, there's a pie called humble pie. I took a big slice of humble pie when I got to Clemson, because what I realized is there are people you have never heard of from schools you have never heard of or knew existed, and they were good in high school too. They were just as good as you. I met walk-ons at Clemson that were better than some of the athletes I've ever seen in my life. I met people from Walhalla, Anderson, Columbia, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, New York,
and they legit.
Man, when I tell you, bro, some stud athletes, bro. But the biggest thing for me was everybody's fast, everybody's strong, everybody can play football. So now what you gonna do, right? That's when you figure out what you made out of. That's when you realize I gotta work. Like, your talent may have got you there. Talent can get you to college, but it ain't gonna keep you there.
Right.
When I tell you, you have to have some other things inside of you to earn playing time on that next level, and that's at D1, D2. I don't care where you go. Like, you have to realize that. So seeing athletes that were just so fast and strong and big, bro, it was scary at first, but then until you learn the ropes and you get a part of it, like, okay, I gotta bust my tail. This is what I gotta do to get on this field. Then, like I said, if you built for it, you know what I mean, it'll come out.
Do you remember a guy that you seen when you first got to college, whether it was a teammate or another player that you played against, where you just played against him and you was like, yeah, he's going to the next level? Was it? You remember any of those guys?
Oh man, yeah, C.J. Spiller, easy.
He was.
Yeah, bro. So C.J. was the hardest worker I've ever been a part of. Like, any team I've been a part of, he was the hardest working player.
And I think he stayed all 4 years too, right?
He did. Yeah. He stayed all 4 years, man. CJ was a stud. He wasn't the biggest, but when I tell you ripped up, bro, looked like an action figure.
And he could run too.
He could run, man. CJ was a track star, All-American football player in high school out of Florida. But overall, man, CJ just a good person. CJ is very encouraging. You know, he talked junk, but it's in a friendly manner. But he's very encouraging, very motivational. Aaron Kelly, he was a good one. Just killer instinct, you know what I mean? Like, super quiet person, but football player, he's a dog, you know what I mean? Cavell Connor played linebacker. Chris Clemens played safety. Michael
remember
Hamlin
Clemens.
played safety. Chris Chancellor played cornerback. DeAndre McDaniel played safety. I mean, bro, probably pound for pound, IQ, just how smart he was on the field, how dog mentality he was, bro. He would knock your head off, bro. I think he led the nations in picks one year at Clemson, his last year at Clemson. Just studs, man. Like, you knew after one or two practices, oh yeah, this cat right here, he out of here. James Harper, bro, All-American running back, bro, out of Florida, bro. The dude was bigger than me at linebacker. I'm a linebacker. He bigger than me, 4'3", 40. You know what I mean?
That's
Go to
crazy.
the gym off one foot, windmill dunking. You know what I mean? Running back. So I think he was a second, third round pick at Clemson. Andre Ellington, bro. Like,
I remember
these
Andre
cats,
Ellington.
DeAndre Hopkins, man, like, probably was a better basketball player than he was football player. A lot of people don't know that, bro. Just smooth. So, I mean, the list goes on. Andre Branch, Jarvis Jenkins. I mean, you talk about just studs, man. Like, studs.
All across
bro.
the board,
Like,
yeah.
bro. Kevin Alexander. You got, man, I could go on and on.
And
all those guys that played in the league at Clemson, all of those guys on my team.
And it's crazy how you can just remember, like, these different moments as an athlete, like the players that you played with or against or anything. Like, athletes, like, you just remember these moments in time and just, like, how special they were. Man, that's major. I remember reading that I think eventually, like, you started having seizures and you had to, like, hang up, stop playing football.
So, I got diagnosed with epilepsy when I was a sophomore in high school. So, it wasn't hereditary or nothing. Nobody in my family ever had it. Didn't know where it came from. And honestly, early on, bro, as long as I could, take my medicine and play football, that's what I did. Like, I didn't really care or to, like, learn about what it was and the scares that it could cause you health-wise. Whatever the doctor told me, as long as he finished his speech with, and you can go back to practice next week, I didn't really care what he was talking about. I always had seizures throughout high school, and then when I got to Clemson, they kind of increased. I started having more seizures more often, and then it got to a point to where it began to get a little scary. They pulled me from football, and I had to run a lot of tests. It basically came down to a decision between me and my family to hang up football because they basically telling me, well, you're young, you're strong, you're healthy, so you're surviving these seizures, but I don't know how long that's going to last. I can't promise you that you can continue to play football while continually have seizures and guarantee you a quality of life when you're 30 or 35. Right. So with the scares that presented to us, I could have kept playing. It was ultimately my decision. They would have just had to change my medication and monitor me a little differently. But when I sat down with my mom and had that conversation, for her to literally look me in my eyes and say, I would love for you to play football, son. Of course, they say you can go to the NFL, you can make all this money, you can do all these things, right? But what if I lose you? I'm in prison. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
And it wasn't until that moment that I made the decision right there with my mom, like,
hang it up.
I'll let it go. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't more important to me than her.
Right.
And she made me kind of see that. If it wasn't for her, I would have continued to play, and I just would have dealt with it. Whatever happened would have happened. But looking at it from her lens, I couldn't be selfish, And honestly, it was hard because football had become an outlet for me. Football had become something that saved my life. It kept me out of trouble. It afforded me a scholarship, an education. Some of my best friends in life I met in college. I wouldn't have been able to afford an education at Clemson University without a scholarship. So thank God for the doors that football opened for me. But the best decision of my life was having to quit football. At the time, I thought it was the worst. But there were still some things going on internally that I know right now. I know for a fact that was the best decision I've ever made in my life. To quit football and start my journey and my transition as a young man in life. So, yeah, it was tough. But, yeah, because of epilepsy and the complications that brought, I was forced to quit football, and that was probably 2 weeks before camp, my sophomore year at Clemson.
Did you already know that you still wanted to be? Because I believe that they still let you finish, like get your degree and everything.
Yeah, so I didn't finish. I'm actually like inquiring about like finishing my degree at Clemson. I didn't finish my degree, but I still took classes. I still was a regular student athlete. I had all the perks as an athlete. I just didn't practice and I didn't play. Okay. And that's actually when I started coaching.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say they still like you. Once you hung it up, you knew that you still wanted to be around the game.
At first, I did not. I couldn't watch football, like literally, like watch a game, or anything. I didn't want to go to games for about a year. I'll be honest with you. Like I was just numb to it because, you know, for me, I rebelled when I couldn't play no more. I hated God. I hated everybody that told me play football because y'all told me that if I play football, I can get out the hood. Y'all told me I can go to the NFL. Y'all told me if I don't do drugs and I don't have no babies and I don't do all this crazy stuff, that I would be okay. And I'm not okay. So I was hurt. So I hated, you know, life. Everything was everybody's fault. You know, I became a woe is me type of kid. Like, you know, oh man, my mom in prison, man. This is some bull crap. Like, instead of using it as fuel, I kind of use it as a crutch. And football just became something that I hated for a moment. And then Coach Sweeney sat me down one day and was just like, man, look, I want you to finish. I want you to, you know, do whatever you want to do in life, bro. Like, I still love you. And for him to validate me, you know, still after that, like, that's why I rock with Coach Sweeney, bro. Like, football team is decent. It's a pretty good football team, bro. Like, football program's been in good hands since I left Clemson. Yeah. But I rock with Dabo because that man looked me in my eye when I could not do anything for him. See, that's the thing. When you're an athlete,
they want to do.
People take advantage of you because of what you can do for them.
Yep.
Right? It ain't too many people willing to do something for you with nothing in return, just because they want to see you do good. So when he gave me that validation that, Buster, I don't care if you play football. I want you to be a good father one day. When he validated that for me, that was another light bulb moment for me where I was like, I could be a coach. I could motivate kids the way somebody motivated me. And that was when I made my decision to coach and be a part of the sport from another side.
So how does it feel now for you, like, being a coach and, you know, like you're saying, being around all these young guys and you see so much potential that they have, like, what does it do for you now personally, you know, just being able to coach them and just mentor these young men?
Man, it's awesome, bro. Coaching is amazing. It's a side of it that is hard, that is tough, but so is life, man. Like I said, there's nothing that I've been through that hinders me from moving forward, you know. The stuff that I go through on a daily, it does get rough. You know, there's time as a husband, I'm stressed out. I'm stressed out as a father. I'm stressed out as a son, as a brother. I have all these different people depending on me, right? But the motivation that I get from coaching these kids and being able to influence them in a positive way, that's enough for me to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. Because I know somebody did that for me. Somebody made a sacrifice to help me be better. Whether that was in sports, whether that was in school, whether that was personally. My walk with Christ, my walk as a father, my walk as a friend, my walk as a person, my development, it was all because somebody took the time to listen to me, influence me, give me advice, feed me, clothe me, care enough to listen. And that's all I try to offer these kids. As far as football goes, man, I'm tough. I think I'm a tough coach, but I demand a lot out of kids that I expect a lot from. And I tell them, man, if I'm not talking to you and getting on you, then you should be worried.
Right.
But if I'm coaching you and I'm pushing you and I'm always in your face, I'm always texting you, I'm always wanting you to do better and do more, then I see something in you. Right. So if you believe in yourself, then I'll help you get to that next level.
I like to ask athletes, you know, from once they finally hang it up, like, what are some things from your whatever sport it is they play? But since you play football, what are the things that you took away from football that you use on a daily and you apply to your everyday life?
Work ethic, bro. Like, Like I said, as an athlete, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the fastest, but you was not gonna outwork me. And that's the same thing in life. When I go out here and apply for jobs, when I'm out here in the working force, you may have more experience than me. Yeah, you might be the manager for now, but I'm gonna work my way up, right? Even as a coach, that's my mentality. Coaching is like a very traditional sport. I mean, a traditional area. Like a coach, a lot of coaches may feel, because I've been coaching 30 years, that you're not as important because you only been coaching 5 years or 10 years, right? You're not gonna outwork me. You can feel how you want to feel, but I'm gonna be the work. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna work on time. I'm gonna work together. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. If I'm gonna make sure my linebackers are prepared, I'm gonna make sure they know the game plan. I'm gonna make sure they're producing for us. That's just what I bring to the table every day. As a husband, same thing. I'm never gonna give up on my wife. I'm never gonna give up on my family. I know the importance of legacy. I understand the importance of that because as a young kid, I didn't come home to a father. You know, my dad was still on his journey. My dad was still going through certain things. And I give him grace for that, you know. But I use that as motivation now because I don't want my son to be able to say, Daddy didn't come to my games. My son can't ever say that. My son won't ever be able to say I wasn't there. I may not be perfect, but I'm present. Right. And for me, that's half the battle. You know what I mean? That's half the battle, just showing up. You know what I mean? There were days where I didn't feel like going to practice. But afterwards, I probably had the best practice I had this week because I didn't feel like going. Yeah. And that's how it is in life. When you don't feel like showing up, just show up. You never know what's going to happen. But that's when you find out who you really are. That's when you dig deep.
I got a few more questions. When your mother was released from prison about, maybe about 5 years ago?
So this December will be 5 years. She came home December of 2020.
Did it feel like, I mean, you always got a chance to see it, but did it feel like you kind of like had to, like, how was that? And then did it feel like you had to kind of like relearn each other because so much time had passed?
Yes, man. First of all, it was amazing, bro. Like, I still, that day still flashbacks in my mind. Because you got to think about it. Since I was 10 years old, I've been thinking about my mama coming home from prison. So actually seeing her walk out that gate, oh my gosh, bro. Like, that was just a mountain of emotion. And it was surreal. It didn't feel real. Like, even on the way home, we talking, we laughing. It didn't feel real. Getting home, you know, seeing all these people and the support that we did. We had some events for her. A lot of people was involved. Of course, that was in the middle of COVID. So it was a little, you know, different back then. But, yeah, man, it was amazing. But, yeah, to answer your question, it had to be, it was a transition there to relearn her because now she's a different person. You know, she's experiencing something different. So you have to give her grace for, even though she's older, even though, you know, time has passed, she's missed so much. In 1999, when she went to prison, think about that. Like, we were still using payphones and phone books, you know what I'm saying?
With no social media, none of this.
So a lot of things have changed, but so for her, it was almost like she's my kid because I'm having to teach her how to operate in today's world, how to use a cell phone, how not to click on spam and people trying to scam you, you know, like how to communicate to people because people are different now. Like, as sad as it may seem, you can't help everybody because people will take advantage of you. People steal. People lie. You know, people try to harm you. People are pedophiles and rapists and stuff like that. So you just have to be careful. But, you know, all in all, it's been a beautiful experience. And because my mom has grown so much and she still continues to grow, she's still a mom. Like, that never leaves her. She still wants to do things for her kids and, you know, spend time and be mom. She wants to solve problems and make sure she can help you and be there for you. She comes to my games. She's involved with my kids. Like, her being able to be a grandmother, oh my gosh. Like, I'm so happy for my son and my nephews because they get to feel that. You know what I'm saying? They get to experience that grandma, my mom, be there for them in their childhood years. That's just a beautiful thing. So I take advantage of everything with my mom, man. But all in all, it's been an amazing experience having her home this long.
You mentioned a few times about being a husband. And I want to just, pick your brain about this, but how do you feel like marriage just is, and your wife, like, how does that help you, like, help mold you into the man that you are today?
Man, besides giving my life to Christ, man, becoming a father, my wife is everything. Being married and what this ring represents for me is so much more than a cliche. Just get married because you love somebody and you've been together for so long. Like, I still love my wife like I did when we were in high school. Like when we met as 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. It still feels like that teenage love. You know what I'm saying? I still get butterflies when we go on dates. I still get butterflies when we one-on-one. Like, when we celebrate birthdays, when we celebrate each other. But my wife is the best decision, the best person that I've ever been around. My wife don't run no yellow lights. She ain't breaking no laws. Like, she ain't doing no shortcuts. Like, my wife, man, she amazing, bro. She's funny. She's smart. My wife is a registered nurse. She's also in the Air Force. Yeah, man, she's amazing, man. She's beautiful. She's God-fearing. She's humble. And she's taught me so much. She's helped me mature. She's taught me about finances. She's taught me how to be a better father. She gave me a different perspective, because here I am, just this jock football player who thinks everything's about him at one point in life and had all the girls and all of this. Life humbled me. God took football away from me. God took my NFL dreams away from me and made me just a regular working class citizen with an amazing, amazing wife. And I think that what black love represents, what family represents, is what white America fears about black men. They don't. Our fear and our anger is not what they're scared of. They fear our love. They know if we get that part, if we build families, if we build community, if we love each other, if we come together, that's when you're gonna have a problem. They know that. That's what they able to stop us. They don't care about these gang members. That's why they throw the book at them when they get in trouble. They don't care about these drug dealers. They don't care. They don't care. They fear Martin Luther King. Because what he represented was love. What he represented was community, togetherness. I can't have these niggas together like that. I can't have a United States full of him. That's why they killed Martin Luther King. Like, the bigger picture of that. So that's what, that's what my wife does for me. She's the motivation for everything. And like I said, I'm not perfect, man, but when I tell you I love my wife, bro, like, I brag on being married, and that was something that I never, ever thought I would be in that realm of getting married, bro. I was a player, bro. Like, I was a manhole. Like, for real, bro. Like, no shame. Like, it's a running joke. In my apartment in Clemson, bro, in college, I had a beware of dog sign on my door, above my door in my room, right? And it was funny because every time somebody would come over, they'd be like, "Where your dog at?"
They thought you had an extra dog.
No, I'm the dog. It was me. And my roommates would literally wait for that punchline because it was a running joke. So I bragged about being a womanizer. I bragged about that, man. But when me and my wife, we grew up together, we went to high school together, we dated in high school. When we went to college, ironically, my wife went to Carolina. She graduated from Carolina. Yeah, she's a Gamecock. She's a Gamecock. And I went to Clemson. We separated. We didn't date. We kept in touch, social media, stuff like that, but we didn't date. And then I had my son with the mother of my child, right? Like, my senior year at Clemson around 2011, 2012. And then we broke up around 2013, 14. And then me and my wife got back together in 2016. Okay. And we got married in 2019. Yeah. So we don't have any kids together. We're, planning that stuff right now. But when I tell you, I'm thankful that it happened the way it happened, because all those years what I realized I was doing, and everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. But all those years I was just being a womanizer and thinking that's all about me. All I was doing was just running from favor. Because God tells you in the Bible, like, you know, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. But the end of that verse is and attains favor from the Lord.
Yep.
So all those years, here I am thinking I'm the man, but I'm running from favor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And since I've been married, I can tell you right now, all the blessings are amplified. Because it's not just me. God, when he blessed me, he's not just blessing me. He's blessing my family. Right. You know what I mean? When he blesses my wife, he blesses us. So it's a beautiful thing to be on this journey with somebody who who has your best interest at heart, who wants to see you win, who wants to see the best version of you. And while she's investing in the best version of me, vice versa, I'm investing in the best version of her. But we're a team,
right?
And we get to build a family together. So
that's a beautiful. Amazing. Yeah, it is, man. I ask you that because I think about it all the time, man. Because I look at my friends. Excuse me. I'm pretty much like almost like the last one that's not married yet.
What you waiting on, man?
That's the thing, man. I'm just, for me, man, it was just like you said, I had those days because I went to school at upstate, man.
Yeah.
And even now, like some of the things that I'm doing now, like don't get me wrong, I have 3 children and I stepped out on my daughter's mom and had my son, but we stayed together and had 2 girls together.
Okay.
But man, it was just me at that time. Like I was just still just so selfish at that time, and I wasn't thinking about settling down. I was like 22 at the time, so I'm still just out here just living, man. And even now to this day, like I'll be honest, like you know, the more access that I get with like covering the Hornets or working with the WNBA, all these different teams, so I'm on the road traveling a lot and interviewing entrepreneurs, and I've done 3 self-investment tours, so it's like. Wow. A lot of temptation that's on the road, man. It's like you when you go to these different places in Miami and Vegas and you go into LA and you see all these different beautiful women, man. It's a lot of temptation. But now I'm at a point now where I'm just like, man, it gets lonely sometimes when you on the road by yourself. And sometimes when I finish a game up, I go to my hotel room and I'm sitting in there by myself and I'm like, man, I wish I had the person with me, man, just to build me up.
I look at that too. What you're right. If for one, you do get lonely, and 2, it gets old. It gets old. You're doing the same thing and having to reintroduce yourself.
I'm telling you,
I remember I was dating back in like 2014, 15. I was dating, and I met this girl, bro, out of town, man, and it literally like it instantly turned me off, and I was like, I got to get my life together. And it was something so simple as this. We were on a date. And she asked me what my favorite color was. And I'm like, dude, I don't feel like
it's really some of the small things.
I don't feel like talking about this, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it was just old to me. Dating and doing all this stuff is so old to me. But I look at marriage like this as an analogy. You know how you go to a buffet and you can eat all this food, like you eat all this stuff. And then you get full. And as soon as you get full, you don't want nothing else. The buffet's still open.
But you just don't want it.
You can get another plate, bro. But I'm full. So I'm full in life. Like I'm full. What the hats that I wear, the marriage, the covenant, the vows that I share with my wife, the commitment that I share for my family, the things that I've gone through, I would be an idiot to not take that serious. I would be a fool to put my son through what I went through. If I can help it. Life is going to happen, bro. Like, nobody's going to be perfect. I think that's the problem with society. Everybody has perfect expectations of everybody. We're not here to be perfect. We're not here to be perfect, bro. Like, I tell my players all the time, I don't care if you make a mistake. Just make it full speed. Because if you learn from that, you're going to grow from that. So with life, don't run away from trying to make a mistake. A lot of people don't try things because they scared they're going to fail. Won't go for an interview because I'm not going to get that. I'm not qualified. Do it anyway. They don't want to be a part of this because they think they're going to get picked on or talked about. Bro, I'll tell you right now, my grandma used to tell me all the time, they talked about Jesus and he ain't never did nothing to nobody.
Right,
So who you think you is? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You have to sometimes we have to get it out of our own way. And that's what I had to do. I had to be humble enough to accept the love from my wife.
Right.
Man, that's tough.
I was just, to me, like I said, I was just so selfish at that time and just being that young, I wasn't thinking about marriage. And even now, like to myself now, I'm like, man, God is still, even though I'm not married, God is still showing me a lot of favor because He's opening so many doors of working with these different professional teams and blessing me with the studio. He's like, I'm showing you all the great things that I have for you. But now I'm just like, man, who do I get to cherish these moments with me? It gets lonely. No, I'm not saying I'm trying to jump the broom like tomorrow or something, but it's like, man, just to have somebody to build something with, because even now, honestly, I would rather have somebody that's with me now while I'm building something, because I'm not to sound arrogant, but I know where I'm going, and I'm building like $1 million business. Right. It's on the way. So I would rather have somebody with me now that's pure and genuine than to get to the top and then you like, what are you really here for? Right. Like, do you have the right intentions?
And I got news for you, bro. If you're staying fast to the road you're on and building your legacy and your company and all of this stuff, and God is going to continue to bless you. While you're building, bro, He's building her too. Yeah. He's building her too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because when it happens, it's going to happen so naturally. Mm-hmm. You ain't going to have to force nothing. You ain't going to have to ever wonder, is this the chick for me? Like, when you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? Because I had gone through so much, I knew what I didn't want. So if you know what you don't want, it makes it easier for what you do want. And when you know what you want, I'm a man. You a man, my bro. If we want it, we gonna go get it. So when it comes time to make those decisions and you move there, it's gonna come at the most unexpected time. Cause you gonna feel like, God, I'm trying to do this. Why you got this? Like, dang, she gonna try to sweep out my feet right now. Like, that's when God is gonna bless you when you need it the most. Yeah. And what you may need may not be what you want at the moment, but it's what's gonna help you get to the next level. Because
recently we had we took a quick guys trip for my birthday, and I told him, I said, hey fellas, after this trip, man, I told him, I literally told him, like, I'm retired, man. I was like, this is it for me. Like, I'm gonna go out here and have fun, man. But after this, I'm done, man. But I'm just like, man, I tell people, like, being outside like how I was back in college and some years ago, I was like, man, you give me a gold jacket, I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer, man.
Sound good.
Because it was just, and I don't say it to brag, it was just like how my mindset was and just how easy it was. And then just like, and I'm gonna talk about it in my documentary that's coming in, another book that I'm writing. It's just like some of the stuff that happened like on the road and just like how crazy things got. And I even tell this story. This was just last year in Vegas. Nothing happened, but one of the ladies at the hotel that I was working in, like, I would see her in and out when I'm going to cover the Aces and going to the practice facility and going to cover the games. And then she, I never even told this story on camera, but she was like, hey, you just take my number and just stay in touch. Like, if you need something, just let me know. I was like, all right, thank you. So then I just text her, and she was just like, I texted when I got back home, and God know what He's doing, because this was like literally like the night before I was leaving. So I went to the game. She gave me a number. I went up to my hotel room, went to sleep, and then I got back home when I texted her, and she was just like, man, she like, it was nice to meet you as well. She said, maybe I'll fly out just to come see you or something. Like, she was just already off the rip. Yeah. That's like, it's that type of stuff that's on that temptation that's on the road, man. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going back to Vegas this year, but I'm like, man, I don't even want to continue opening those doors, man. But it's like that temptation that's out there, being in the space that I'm in, and you covering these professional teams, the interview entrepreneurs, being on the road, it's a lot that come with it. But like you said, man, it's at the point where it gets old, man, and you love to have somebody.
The good thing about what you're doing too is when you're in the process of building and focus on you and doing all this stuff to build your company and your legacy, you value yourself more.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It got to a point where it's like, I don't want to give myself to all these people.
Yeah.
Like, everybody don't deserve
it's tiring,
like,
man.
I'm top shelf.
Yeah.
Everybody don't deserve to touch me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't deserve to give everybody my energy, everybody my time, everybody my companionship, because I know how valuable I am. I know what I bring to the table, and I know what I'm capable of. So it'll get to a point to where, like I said, while you're building all of that, she's building up too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When y'all join forces, bro, it's just going to be almost like you've known each other forever.
And the thing is, she got to know, what I'm building now, I'm all in. Like, I'm always give you time and attention, but just know I'm committed to what I'm building.
Yeah.
I built it so far. I can't quit. And I had a situation a couple years ago. I was talking to a young lady I went to college with, and she didn't mean any harm. But I was like, man, I'm thinking about leaving my job, the one I was at previously, and just focusing on my business. And the stuff that she was saying, she didn't mean any harm. But she's like, you got to think about what you're doing. You got kids and all this. But I'm just like, man. The way I took it was like, so you don't believe that I can do it.
Right.
And she was like, I'm not saying that, but you got to understand, which I get what you're saying, but like when you going after your dreams, man, it's like you got to be all in.
Be selfish.
You got to be selfish. So I kind of like fell back from that situation. And even now it's like things that like I'm still selfish to an extent, man. Like I built this. It's been taking me years, and the lessons that I had to learn, the ups and downs, it's like I came too far to quit now. Yeah. So just know I'll be up front with you. What I'm building, like I'm committed to it. So as long as you all in and you understand what comes with it, then we'll go from there.
I got you, bro. I'm pulling for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
What I'm saying? I got a lot of stories I could tell you, but the type of person you are and what you're doing and your energy and your vibe, bro, you're gonna attract that. The stuff that you put out, bro. Just like I say, I always bring it back to athletics. What you put into yourself is what's gonna come out. Right. Just like in the bank. What you put in the bank, you can't get nothing out the bank you didn't put there. Right? As an athlete, if you don't train, you don't practice, you don't work, it ain't just gonna show up and be Steph Curry on game day. You're not gonna show up and just be Pat Mahomes on Friday or Saturday, right? Like you gotta put in that work. And good things are gonna happen to you. What you put out here in the world, bro, is gonna come back to you. The energy you put out there, the messages that you putting out there. And you're putting a lot of positive energy in the world. You're gonna be rewarded for that. You know what I mean? So just keep doing what you're doing, bro. It's gonna work out for you.
I appreciate that. We're getting ready to wrap it up. I know we've been here for a while.
It's all good, man.
And it's been a fun conversation talking about sports. I want to bring it back to that real quick.
Yeah.
Give me your top 5 all-time Byrnes players.
Oh man, top 5 all-time Byrnes players.
Football players. Yeah.
That's tough.
And try to put them in order if you can. Like, who would you say?
Be mad regardless, so it is what it is. But like I said, this is a conversation we talk about all the time. Off top, Prince Miller is undeniably like
number one.
Prince Miller is number one. Byrnes football player. 2, I would go. Does this include me or not?
You can put yourself in it too. Yeah.
God, I'm not gonna put myself in it. You know what I mean? Just to have more room for somebody else. But a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers, like put me in that conversation, and that's cool.
You got the sack record, right?
I had the sack record. It was broken. You know what I mean? But I had it when I left Byrnes. I had 21 sacks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my junior year I had 16.
You know who got it now?
Last name Hawkins. Dawkins. Noah Dawkins.
No,
I think Noah Dawkins had like 28.
Oh, that's crazy.
He ended up going to the Citadel. Yeah, he broke the record. He shattered it. Yeah, shout out to Noah, man. But yeah, Prince Miller would be 1. 2 for me, I'm going Trey Elder. Like I said, self-explanatory what he did though, but I mean, being a junior on JV and winning Mr. Football as a senior, come on, bro. Like, number 3, you got to go Mark Latt. You know what I'm saying? Undeniable what his resume, what he did at Byrnes. 4 years of just dog. I think Mark got 2 rings, maybe 3 when he was there.
I know he wanted my junior year because me and him came out in 2010. I think Byrnes wanted in his junior year, then
07,
and then
08.
Lattimore. His senior year, they lost to Dorman.
Yeah. So he won. He got 2.
Okay.
He lost his freshman year. That was my senior year. He won as a sophomore. He won as a junior, and he lost as a senior. So he got 2. Prince Miller, Trey Elder, Marcus Lattimore, Willie Corn.
Okay.
Willie Corn would be, you can argue with your mama. Quarterback, high school football, quarterback, Byrnes High School. What we talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Record books. I mean, you can go numbers, you can go records, you can go rings. Willie was that guy, you know. And then my 5 spot, I've been all offense. I'm going to go defense. I'm going to go Everett Dawkins.
That's solid 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Everett Dawkins, bro, just because I'm a little biased, because he family. But shoot, bro, it's only been 2 true NFL draft picks. I'm not people who play in the NFL. Ben Hall played in the NFL. Prince Miller played in the NFL. But they didn't get their name called on draft day. Yeah. Marcus Lattimore and Everett Dawkins were the first 2 draft picks out of Byrnes High School. So Everett's got to be in my top 5 as well. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll go Prince Miller, Trey Elder, Mark Latt, Willie Corn, and Everett Dawkins.
That's a solid 5 right there, man. Yeah. And Byrnes, like I said, that tradition in that era, that level of dominance, man, that was
sure.
That was crazy.
Like I said, there's so many other players that could be worthy of that, man. You got Jamar Wright, receiver. You got Ronaldo Hunter, my other cousin. You got Tavian Richardson. You got Torian Richardson. You got Riyad Richardson. You got...
I remember the name Riyad a little bit. Yeah, he probably he was in 09, 010, somewhere around there.
That's when I told you his dad, Mark, owned the barbershop. Riyad was his son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Riyad is his son. He was a legend. You know what I mean? Dog athlete, bro. Dog athlete. You got Jazz King. You got Nick Jones. You got so many. Terrell Allen, Bradley Robinson. You got Darrell Robinson. Oh, my gosh. I might have should have put Darrell in there. But like I said, somebody was going to get mad regardless. Like, Darrell was the first big-time recruit come out of Byrnes. He went to Georgia, bro. Like,
that's legit.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, it's so many legends that come through. Justin Fulbright, you know what I mean, bro? He was 5'8" quarterback. He won state the first ring in 02.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was a gunslinger, bro. Break your wrist throwing the ball so hard. But, yeah, man, shout out to Coach Bentley, Coach Miller, Coach Stroud, all the coaches that came through Byrnes, Coach Lane, down at Westside. Like, all the coaches that were coaching, assistant coaches and coaches when I was at Byrnes, all are head coaches now. Mm-hmm. D coordinators, offense coordinators are running programs now. So
it's fun fact. When this was 2016, I took a part-time job as a producer at Intercom Radio up in Greenville. And at the time, we were I was a producer for like the Byrnes Friday night football games, and Coach Lane was the head coach back then. But when you said it, I was like, I didn't even know he had went to Byrnes. And
he played at Byrnes.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
A lot of people have Coach Lane as a top 5 Byrnes player. Like, he was a dog, bro, and his brothers played football at Byrnes too. So the Lane brothers are a whole nother side of legends.
That's crazy,
in the 90s, 80s, and 90s. Yeah, bro. Like, the Lanes are dope. But Coach Lane played at Byrnes. He was a legend. He coached at Byrnes. He's a legend. He was a head coach at Byrnes. He's a legend. And now his son is he'll be in the draft this year. His son's a receiver at Virginia Tech.
Really?
He had one of the best combines. Yeah, all that, bro.
Man, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, man. Jalen. Shout out to Jalen, bro. He was one of those little kids Coach Lane used to have around us at practice. And here it is now, 15, 20 years later, he's a potential draft pick in the 2025 draft. So
man, that's love.
Shout out to Coach Lane and Jalen, too. Man.
And any of you Byrnes guys that want to come back, man, you're more than welcome to come have a seat out here, man. This has definitely been fun. My last and final question, what advice would you have for someone, maybe if they don't even want to play football but just want to go after their dreams? Like, what advice would you have for anybody?
Man, my advice for anybody chasing their dreams, bro, is to never give up, man. Never give up. I recently I released a motivational album. It's called The Next Play. It's available for stream on anywhere you download music, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and it's entitled The Next Play. And it's a play on words, but it's about never giving up on whatever you got going on, no matter what's going on. So for me in my personal life, football didn't work out. What's the next play, right? As a player, my coach would always get on me about not dwelling on the past, not tripping on making a mistake, not worrying about the last game. What can you do now to get better for tomorrow? What can you do now? And it's all about the next play. Same thing in life. It's the next play. You lost a job, next play. You lost a relationship, next play. You failed at something, next play. All right, you just got to continue to have that will and that want to, and something good gonna happen. You put good out, good energy, good work ethic, good positivity, it's gonna come back to you. So just never give up on whatever you're trying to do in life.
Absolutely. Stanley, I appreciate it, man.
Oh, man.
Hey, this is a great conversation, man.
Yeah.
I could stay here and talk about sports all day, man. But
I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you too.
Man,
bro.
I appreciate it, man.
What you're doing in this space, being from the Berg, bro, you could be doing so much other little stuff, man. But you staying in your lane, you doing your thing. It's
hold on, time out. I gotta tell people. You said being from the Berg. I'm from Jonesville. I don't want nobody.
Okay.
I don't want nobody jumping like, why you ain't step in? Yeah. So I'm from Jonesville, but I ended up going to Union after they consolidated us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to make sure I said that because people gonna jump in like, man, you let him say you from Spartanburg?
Yeah. Well,
no,
from the upstate.
Hey, I'm from the upstate, man. In Jonesville, South Carolina.
Up,
documentary gonna be coming. The 864 documentary.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm working on that as well.
Everything, man, and don't ever hesitate to reach out. And you got my support.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, go ahead and plug in you're doing a camp or something right now, right? Where kids can come work out or something.
So right here, Hunter Elite Fitness. So when I stopped playing football, one of the biggest things I did to pivot from football was I started a youth foundation. That youth foundation is called Forever 17. I wore number 17 and I went by 17. So in sports they call you by your number. What's up 5? What's up 10?
Right.
So I was always labeled as 17. So when I was coming up with this idea for an outreach program, we just came up with the name Forever 17, being that like you'll always be who you are, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the play on words that we use with Forever 17. So Forever 17 Youth Group is what I do, the outreach, and Hunter Elite is under that umbrella. So with Hunter Elite, I train athletes, boys and girls of all ages, and I do like what we call SAC Sundays or SAC workouts. And SAC stands for Speed, Agility, and Quickness. So if you want to build on those type of things, which you need for all sports, right? I set up drills and competitions to work one-on-one or in group sessions with athletes to get them faster, stronger, and quicker. And I do set up certain little days or camps. Like on spring break, I have a camp at Upward on Monday, April 7th, Tuesday, April 8th, and Thursday, April 10th. That's a SAC training camp week, where every day there are going to be obstacles and courses and sessions that we have, competition drills and techniques and stuff that I'm teaching. And we just make it fun. I have other coaches involved. I collaborate with other coaches and other players. And we just make it fun, and we all working out. Like, kids don't, if you make it fun, they don't even realize how hard they work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I incorporate a little bit of old school with the new school, and we make it fun. So that's what Hunter Elite is, man. And it's been a great experience to see that and teach kids how to work. You know what I'm saying? What it really takes. Because a lot of kids think they're doing something. They think they on track until they really meet a coach or another player and practice beside them. You're like, oh, man, he doing this. Like, I got to get better. I got to do more, right? So that's all I'm trying to do is be a vessel, be an example, and lead the next generation.
Absolutely. Stanley, I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, can you tell everybody how to find you? If they need to find you social media?
Facebook, I'm Stanley Hunter Jr. on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Hunter Elite Fitness on Instagram. On X, I'm Forever 17 on X. And then, man, that's it. On X, Facebook, Instagram. Absolutely.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast. Stanley, I appreciate you again, man, for a great conversation.
Yes, sir.
So until next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir.